Hello and welcome back to the Toffee Blues YouTube channel, your source for all things Everton, for yet another joyous opposition view video in what a tremendous season this has been so far. But luckily we brought on someone this week who knows just our pain. Maybe, we've had a couple of fans on, like the West Ham fan last week. Lovely bloke, doesn't quite understand what the season's like, been like for us. But today, joined from Joe from the Turfcast, we're going to discuss Burnley versus Everton coming up on Wednesday night. 6-pointer, 12-pointer even. It's a massive game for both clubs. But Joe, thanks for coming on. How are you doing today?
Yeah, good, thanks. Don't worry, Everton fans. As Thomas is saying, I'm depressed as well. So we're all in the same bubble here.
Right. So we'll start off with yourselves this season. Obviously, apart from your run for the Europa League, which was tremendous. Look, it's not all been the most exciting time in the Premier League. You found yourselves in this position a couple of times, but maybe this one's looking slightly more dire than the past few years. But what have you been your thoughts on yourselves this season?
Yeah, well, we've just not been good enough. Like you say, we have had seasons where we've not been in this position, but we've also had seasons where we're in this position, but we normally have drifted away from it round about now. Even the season that we did finish seventh, that was probably the worst season apart from last season and this season. But you kind of expected that because we were playing Thursday, Sunday, all right, only for 6 weeks, but still it proper took it out of us, and we got off to a really poor start, and that's why we were poor all the way throughout that season. Apart from like the second half, it's been a similar sort of thing this time. We played Brighton at home on the first day, went 1-0 up, lost the game 3-1. Went 1-0 up at your place, lost the game 3-1. I think it was. And it was just so many situations where we went 1-up and just just collapsed, and then next thing you know, we're in the relegation zone and we just can't get out of it, and it's just all because of that poor start. And quite frankly, we've just not been good enough. I just think it's the same voice talking to the same players. We haven't brought really anyone in apart from Corney and Weghorst. I'm sort of like in the last 5 sort of seasons, we haven't really been signing many players, and it's just all sort of like stagnated, and we've sort of like gone backwards a bit now. So that is the worrying thing, that we've gone backwards, and we're just not good enough. The players aren't good enough, to be honest with you.
Yeah. There's no doubt that Sean Dyche has been absolutely fantastic for you for years, and I think everyone in the Premier League respects him at this point. But what have been your thoughts on him, kind of specifically this season? Have you struggled at times, maybe?
Yeah, I've struggled. Like, people always say to me, like, I don't know, you watch that crap week in, week out, but it's fine saying that when we're winning games. I'm happy to watch us do that when we're winning games. You know what I mean? So it's never been a thing. There's nothing better than going somewhere like Anfield, like Old Trafford, and just proper like ruffling the feathers, getting in the faces, winding the fans up to the point where they're going, "How do you watch this every week?" There's something beautiful in that. But when you're doing it every week and you're going to places and stinking it out, and you're stinking the away end out as well and losing 2-0, it's pointless. I feel he's been stubborn this season. He seems to keep playing a system that isn't working, because we've tried to sort of like move away from that identity of just hoofball, and then bringing in players like Corney, like Weghorst, and then because it hasn't gone exactly how he's wanted, he's gone back to the hoofball thing. So then you've got Corney chasing balls down the wing. That's not what he's going to do. You've got Weghorst, all right, he's 6'6", but he is terrible in the air. Like, he will not win headers. Like, I don't know what it is. It's obviously not his game, fair enough, but he very rarely wins headers. He wants it into feet, and he's kind of like Harry Kane in the sense that I'm not in any way comparing to Harry Kane before someone says, I can't believe you're doing that. But I mean, in the sense that he'll drop deep into the midfield, collect the ball at his feet, and then let the midfielders overlap him, the wingers overlap him, and get into the game that way and bring other players into the game, and then you're on the front foot. But Burnley just hoof the ball up to him and hope for the best and hope it's going to stick. And it's not going to stick because he's not Chris Wood. So Phil Dyche has been stubborn in his player selections, he's been stubborn in his system selections, and quite frankly, he's part of the reason why we're in this mess this season, which is a shame to say, and I bet people are probably surprised to hear me say it, but he has been part of the problem. Both the players as well and the previous board are also big parts of the problem.
Yeah, definitely. Do you think it would be a case if you go down that maybe a bit like Eddie Howe at Bournemouth and you'll just kind of part ways? Do you see him staying if you get relegated?
It's a weird one. This is like the main debate on the Burnley socials at the minute, and I'm not sure where I stand. I think I'm leaning more towards, in my opinion, I'd want him to stay, because the last 2 times I've been in the Championship, we've lost, like, over the case of 90 whatever games, we've lost 10. We went 23 games undefeated last time in the second half of the season, won the league comfortably, been promoted both times. So I feel he's been loyal. Let's be fair. He could have gone to other clubs. I'm sure other clubs have been sniffing. There's times when he probably was, his stock was quite high. There was rumours that Everton were after him once upon a time. I'm not sure how true that were. There's been Palace, there's been Leicester. Villa, all decent sized clubs that he could have gone to. So he's been loyal to us. So I think it's time that we should be loyal to him. But it'd be a case of see where we're at. If he's still playing the same sort of style of football and we're 10th in October, probably time to say thanks, Sean, but it's not working anymore.
Yeah, fair enough. And on the flip side of that, we've had our own managerial troubles. What have you made of Everton this season? Not just kind of where we're on the table, but the Lampard Benitez situation.
The Benitez one I found incredibly strange. I felt like it could have worked if he didn't have that link to Liverpool, which is obviously what the fans didn't like. I feel like he's been a good manager in the past. I'm not so sure if he's a good manager anymore. At his next job, if he has another job, will tell us more about that. It was obvious what happened was obvious what was going to happen. You have a few, all right, he had a decent start if I remember rightly, or he had a decent-ish start. And I remember a few fans sort of like saying like, oh, well, maybe it's not that bad then. But then you just knew as soon as a few bad results, then the fans would get on his back because they don't like his links to Liverpool. And obviously Liverpool fans would be making memes and saying like Agent Rafa and all that, and that would wind the fans up even more. So it were always gonna end the way it ended. With Lampard, I don't see why you went for him with the situation that you're in. I think you should have gone for more experience maybe in the Premier League, someone who's experienced relegation battles before. I'm not sure who was out there because obviously I've not been looking for a manager, or should I say my club hasn't been looking for a manager. But it's one of them. I was surprised that you went for him. I think he can be a good manager in a different sort of like, not club, but in a different sort of like timing. So say like if you were 12 now, for example, and this season was written off, he could get his feelers out in the squad and maybe do some signings in the summer and then push on from there. But he has to kick you up first, and you're in the position where maybe he won't. Ultimately, I think you will just stay up just because the other three teams are absolutely dreadful more than anything else. But I think it was a weird appointment that I think might be a case of just sort of like neutrally coming to an end at some point next season if you have a poor start again.
Yeah, fair enough. And obviously, you know your squad very well. It hasn't been a tremendous amount of sides in the past few years. So who do you say has been your standout performer this year, or maybe who's disappointed you slightly based on the past couple of seasons?
Person who disappointed me the most, just based on this season, is definitely Dwight McNeil. He's got all the reason why I'm annoyed with Dwight McNeil is because you know how good he is. Look at the goal he scored at Goodison last season, for example.
Cheers for that.
Yeah. Well, it's just coming to my head then. But like that's how good he is. Whereas this season, like nothing. He's done absolutely nothing. He's been dreadful all game. It looks like he's not interested. He's one of them players like when he's running back, he's walking back or he's jogging back, his head's down, he doesn't look interested. His body language is all over the place. So he's been probably the worst one for me because we know how good he can be. If he was playing well, we might be in a different position because he used to get the ball and drive at defences. Standout player, there's not really been anybody apart from Corney in the first half of the season, but since he's come back from AFCON, he's been dreadful as well. So the second half of the season, nobody's been a standout, but in the first half of the season, you can only really give it to Corney. He was the only really half-decent player. Having said that, he looked sharp when he came on against City at the weekend. So we'll see. He might have his sharpness back, but he's been poor since the turn of the year, to be honest with you as well.
Yeah. Interesting to say that about McNeil because Everton fans have been quite interested in him for quite a while, and it's definitely interesting that maybe if his head's gone, he might not be completely the right fit for ourselves. But based on the squad, the mentality we do have, and maybe if he's not quite into it this season, that is a slight concern. But and my next question, you're not allowed to answer everywhere here, but where can Everton kind of hurt you this season? Because fans have asked me that this season. I kind of say, where can't you basically? But where would you say is your biggest weakness at the moment?
Midfield. I'd still say midfield. Casherman back to the game at Goodison earlier in the year. We went 1-0 up. Obviously, I've just mentioned it. But then you brought a midfielder on. I can't remember who it was, but you brought a midfielder on. I think you went 3 across the middle. And then you just dominated as in midfield. That's pretty much what's happened pretty much every single game this season. We have lost a midfield battle. The midfield 2, which is normally Westwood and Brownhill, don't work. They just don't work at all. I've been advocating Sean Dyche to start Jack Cork for months. He did it in February for 3 games. Shock horror. It was Brighton away, which we won 3-0, Tottenham at home, which we won 1-0, and then Palace away, which we drew 1-1. And then he dropped him again. And then we've lost every single game since, and he's not brought him back in. This is what I mean about Dyche being part of the problem and being stubborn. For me, I'd go Westwood on the bench, Brownhill and Jack Cork in the middle, and we might stand a bit of a chance because then Jack Cork sort of like sits back and then mops everything up and gets the ball to Brownhill, and then he could drive a little bit better. at the defenders and get past the strikers, getting the ball to Weghorst as well, as I've mentioned already. But midfield is the place where we are the weakest, definitely. We have been for quite some time, to be fair, 3 or 4 seasons.
Yeah, interesting to see that, because we're not exactly abundant in top-class centre midfielders at the moment, and it will be interesting. But in terms of kind of injury suspensions, is there anyone major that you are missing?
Yeah, Ben Mee, the club captain, he's out. That's the main one. It's probably the only one that really is relevant at the minute. It's the only one I'm aware of anyway. It's a shame to see him out. Collins does look a good defender, but it's weird. Like when Dyche brings Collins in, he puts him on the right-hand side of the centre-back pairing, which means Tarky has to move to the left because he's normally on the right. Tarky doesn't look that good on the left. So the whole defence can look a little bit out of sorts at the minute without Ben Mee. But he's been the guy that's been the ever-present, even when Michael Keane was at the back for us. Ben Mee was his partner. He's just like been the ever-present for the last, 6-7 seasons, and you can tell when he's not playing. We just don't look as good. Like, we just don't look as organised. We don't look as good. It's just a bit of a shambles, to be honest.
Yeah, probably for the best you don't mention Michael Keane too much around this channel. But
as soon as I said his name, then I'm like, oh yeah, he's suspended, isn't he?
Yeah,
it's probably a good thing for you.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, we'll definitely see. And you mentioned that Sean Dyche has been stubborn this season, so maybe this is a slightly easy question. What is the likely lineup? Do you think it's going to be?
Poppy in goal, Charlie Taylor left back, Tarkett and Collins at centre back, with probably Connor Roberts at right back. I'd be willing to try Matthew Lawton again. Burnley fans, the younger Burnley fans, will crucify me for that, but I've not been overly impressed with Roberts. On the left-hand side of midfield, probably going to be Dwight McNeil. In the middle will be probably Westwood and Brownhill. It should be Cork and Brownhill. But it'll probably be Westwood and Brownhill. And on the right-hand side of midfield, I would go Cornet. Then up front, I'd go Jay and Wout Weghorst. Maybe even, sort of like when we have the ball fluid into a 4-3-3. That's kind of not the sort of football that Dyche does. Ambitious. Occasion. Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. It might even not even start Cornet. He didn't start him against City. But we don't really have many wingers at the club, so he could even put Jay left midfield and drop Dwight or something like that. But we'll see. Jay needs to start. That's when Wout is at his best, when Jay's up front with him. So when we are hoofing the ball, we can hoof it to Jay if we want to hoof it. But I don't think we should hoof it, though, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, fantastic. And just last couple of questions now. Comes down to the predictions. We'll start off with your score predictions for this match.
Yeah, 0-0. I'm going 2 terrible teams without any confidence whatsoever, watched in terrible conditions, overseen by 2 managers who have been poor over the last few weeks. I just can't see. I think both teams are going to be nervous. I think both teams are going to look nervous, and we don't score goals, but we are okay at the back. Even without Ben Mee, we're still okay. But yeah, I just if anyone's going to score, it's going to be you. With the quality that you have, obviously Calvert-Lewin and Richarlison, you can hurt us with them 2 players. So we'll see. But we haven't scored for a few games now. Palace game, I think, was the last time we scored off the top of my head. So I think 0-0, which is a better result for you than it is for us.
And then the final question: we haven't actually mentioned relegation too much in this video, which is absolutely shocking. But who do you think's going down now?
I can't see it changing, if I'm being honest with you. Norwich will finish bottom, we'll finish second bottom, and then maybe Watford. The only thing that will change is the order of the 3 that are going down, if I'm being honest with you. We might, because we have some favourable games, we might, maybe push on for 18th, yay. But apart from that, I can't see much else. Obviously, Wednesday is massive. If we get a win against you, we bring you even further into it. With the gap between you and us is there 1 point. We've then got Norwich away the week after. We didn't even beat Norwich at home, let's be honest. So I don't know why Burnley fans keep looking at that one and going, oh, I can win that. Because we didn't even beat him at home. That was another boring 0-0, 2 crap teams. But tomorrow's massive. If we win tomorrow, we have a slight chance. But at the minute, I'm 99.99% certainly going down. If we win tomorrow, then it's a case of I'll probably be like 90% certain that we probably are going down. But a defeat for you is very damaging, of course, because of the running that you have. You've still got to play, I think, Liverpool, Arsenal. You mentioned City as well.
Chelsea.
Chelsea. Yeah, so it's it's not good, is it, for you guys if we do win that? But look, I'm talking hypothetically. Like I've already said, I don't think we will win it.
Yeah, it is interesting because I didn't realise you had Norwich next, which it's just concerning because obviously we've got yourselves and then Manchester United. So if we lose the next 2 games, you win the next 2 games, all of a sudden you're 2 points above the relegation zone and we're dragged into it. So
yeah, so I mean, it can
it's
all
really hard
change
to
so
predict.
quickly. But
Yeah.
we've won 3 games all season. For us to get out of it now, I think we have to win minimum 5 out of 10. That's just not going to happen, is it? It's the turnaround in form is too much there. So no, I've seen nothing from us over the last few weeks to suggest that we can get out of this. So I think you're going to be okay.
Well, that's slightly hopeful for us anyway. But Joe, thank you very much for coming on. Where can our viewers find you if you want to find you?
Yeah, it's just Turfcast Podcast on pretty much all social media channels. Apart from YouTube, it's Turfcast TV. But yeah, we're on everything. So if you want to give us a watch, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, and I like to say, best of luck after this game for the rest of the season. But sadly, I can't.
Yeah, don't really work this time, does it?
No.
Really, what if we both started winning games and sent Newcastle down? That's probably a little bit too ambitious. I'd love to see Newcastle go down.
I would absolutely love that.
I work in Leeds, so that would be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's one of 4, isn't it? Let's be honest. Sorry, 3 of 4.
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, thanks for coming on. Thank you all very much for watching. Be sure to join us next time on the Toffee Blues. Let us know your score predictions. Let us know if you're any more confident than either of us are. But yeah, let's hope for a good result tomorrow. Hopefully push on and eventually find our way out of this mess. But as I mentioned, thank you all very much for watching. Join us next time on the Toffee Blues. Goodbye.